Girls with ADHD may not get diagnosed until they're older. Author Agata Box. Girls' symptoms of ADHD compared to boys are different, and for that reason they are not getting diagnosed. Brenda Nicholson was a shy kid who performed well in school. She struggled to find what she liked and what she wanted to do in life. She got bored very easily, and she only found out she had ADHD when she was 42. Not all girls diagnosed with ADHD are quiet. For example, Zoe Kessler was a high emotional child. She was also criticized by others who would say she is too sensitive, especially by her mom. She thrived in school and was the class clown, but when she went home, she felt highly misunderstood. In a research that was published in the Journal of Clinical Psychology in 2005, they documented a ratio that showed that between girls and boys with ADHD equaled 1 to 3, and in women and men it was between 1 to 2 and 1 to 1. This disorder is perceived as a male disorder, but females can have this disorder as well. Girls aren't typically hyperactive like boys are. Instead, they tend to be inattentive and forgetful. Young girls often get anxiety and school phobias when they have the disorder. Women with ADHD are 3 times more likely to have anxiety and suicidal thoughts, as well as more than twice as likely to have depression. A small study of 119 adults with ADHD and 107 adults without the disorder. What they did in this study was that they looked at the volume of caudate, which is a structure in the brain involved in motor processes as well as learning processes. Caudate is in men and women. To explain more about caudate, it is a part of the dorsal striatum and it is located near the center of the brain. These deep brain structures control voluntary skeletal movements. The other functions that it performs in as well is learning, memory, reward, motivation, emotion, and romantic interaction. Each of the brain's hemispheres contains a caudate nucleus, and they tend to be both near the basal ganglia. Men with ADHD had smaller right caudate volumes than men without the disorder, a finding that did not seem to apply to the women in the study. A much larger study published in the journal The Lancet in 2017 failed to confirm the difference between the two genders. There doesn't seem to be a clear difference in brain anatomy or genetics that could explain why ADHD manifests differently and leads to different behaviors in men and women. Many clinicians miss these girls with ADHD since they see this disorder through elementary school-aged boys. Getting diagnosed with ADHD is a hopeful diagnosis. With the right treatment plan, which could involve medication, therapy, and coaching, the patient's quality of life can improve immensely. Getting diagnosed in the first place is finally feeling grounded and in control. Kessler says that once she was taking the medication, she finally felt like she was grounded. The reason I chose this article is because my male best friend has been diagnosed with ADHD. I wanted to know more about it and how it can differ from men and women. You don't really hear much about women having ADHD, but when it comes to men, we tend to hear more about it. This article was very interesting to me since I went to an all-girls school, and I can see how a few girls I knew could possibly have had ADHD, but did not know it because the symptoms are different. Another reason for choosing this article is that it shows that we still don't have all the information on a disorder that tends to be pretty common.